Meteorologist Matthew East here in the Weather on the Ones Forecast Center. This is the Thursday edition of the Carolina Weather Video here for this 25th day of February. And we had a mixed bag of precipitation across the Piedmont of North Carolina yesterday. Around the Triad, a lot of light snow, mainly some rain around the Charlotte region. And then last night, a lot of folks picked up some intervals of snow and snow shower activity. And still at this point this morning, some snow. We'll talk about that. Plus, watching that Tuesday system certainly has my interest peaked. Let's take a look now at the radar this morning. This is our News 14 Carolina interactive radar, and that's linked off of my site as well as the news14.com site. And this is a look at the radar across central North Carolina this morning. We have this band of snow. A lot of this is flurries, but there are some pockets of snow shower activity, especially up around northern sections of the Triad this morning. This will slowly slide eastward. Anybody fair game to pick up a few more flakes very early today, but really the big story around here today will be some breezy and chilly conditions. There's the beginning of a huge winter storm up in the New England states. They will literally be measuring the snow in feet in a lot of interior New England as that low pressure that has brought our precip lifts off to the north, and it is just going to sit there and crank for about 72 hours and really ratchet the snow in parts of New England. Meanwhile, today, we're on the back side of that low, and we're going to get a pretty breezy day. I think we'll see northwest winds maybe gusting over 25, 30 miles an hour at times. High temperatures, low 40s at best. You factor in the wind, and a lot of us will have wind chill values sub-freezing for much of the day, so a cold day. Tomorrow, it's still going to be quite breezy. It'll be a little milder, though. I think high temperatures tomorrow able to make it up into the mid to upper 40s in most spots. There's the next system moving in from the west, and due to the strength of this low pressure, it's just going to get crushed down into the Gulf of Mexico. So we're not going to see any precip from that. There you go on the weekend as that low moves into Florida, well south of our area. We've got Sunday. It's going to be a cool and quiet day. Monday, it'll still be quiet, and I will not show the GFS farther than this. I think to put it frankly, I think the GFS is absolute garbage with how it's handling the system next week. It is far too suppressed in my opinion. Now, it could wind up scoring the coup and being correct, but I don't think so. I think it's wrong with how it's handling the features next week. Let me show you why. First of all, I'll show you the GFS depiction of our Tuesday system, and it has the system crushed well south down into Florida. At the same time, here's the GFS ensembles. It has that low farther to the north, but still probably a good bit too far suppressed. Contrast that with what the European is showing. Here we are at 7 p.m. Tuesday. The European has the surface low tucked in close to Savannah, generally speaking, a little bit offshore. And the European ensembles are in pretty good agreement with that general location. Let's check the Canadian model. And it has the low off the coast of Charleston and precip extending back through Georgia and the Carolinas. The Canadian ensemble's a little bit pretty close, maybe a little bit tucked in closer to the coast than the operational run. So why the differences? Well, let's look up at 500 millibars. This is the upper air pattern, and this is valid 7 o'clock Monday morning. And this is the GFS model. And the feature I want you to note here is this big upper level low sitting just offshore of New England. Notice that's the GFS position on it. Let's check the European, and it is on the European significantly farther north and east. And so the response to that, you go back to the GFS, because of the position of that low, it crushes everything well down to the south, whereas the European is in a position whereas it allows this piece of upper level energy to move in. It doesn't crush it down to the Gulf. It allows it to move eastward and amplify as it tries to lift up the coast. The Canadian, certainly in closer agreement in the upper levels with the European as opposed to the GFS. So in short, for the time being, I think you can throw that overly suppressed GFS solution out the window. I have no changes with my thoughts that I've been laying out here for a couple of days that odds are somebody in the southeast is going to get a big snowstorm out of this beginning Probably, I'd say odds favor right now some snow at some point here from North Georgia, maybe parts of Alabama, up through at least northern and northwest South Carolina, probably a good chunk of North Carolina, maybe into Virginia as well. That's how I think things play out right now. Now, of course, if the GFS happens to be right and that upper level low in the New England states is slower and moving out, then that'll be suppressed much farther to the south. But I think we're seeing what has been a common error at times this winter with the GFS. It's hanging that upper level energy a little too long in the New England states, and I think probably the foreign models are handling this more correctly. So we'll see how that plays out. The potential's on the table for some of us in the southeast. I don't know where for sure just yet, but some of us in the southeast to get a nice snow event out of this, probably Monday night and then especially Tuesday night, and maybe into parts of Wednesday. So that is the feature that certainly bears watching. All right, that's it for today's edition of the video. Thank you for watching this edition of the Carolina Weather Video. Have a wonderful Thursday, and God bless.